Andy Johnson. We are looking at IEPs related to students with reading disabilities. I am taking a slight detour to look at diagnostic assessment, more specifically the qualitative reading inventory or an informal reading inventory or some such thing. I do not think that you can have a quality IEP related to literacy without some sort of diagnostic assessment like this. And I'm going to say QRI or IRI is an individually administered reading test. It has a variety of things. These differ slightly, but they all have some sort of graded word lists, graded passages that are to be read aloud. Some have passages to be read silently, and some can be used for listening comprehension, and some comprehension questions as well. Now, the examiner listens to students actually read and takes notes on their reading miscues as the student is reading. So it's a more authentic type of reading assessment. And the goal is to diagnose the cause of reading difficulties. As I said, there are some silent reading passages that can be done, as well as passages to look at listening comprehension. Now, here's an example of the type of lists. Students read through, and then you mark if they got it through, got it without help, or if they needed help. All right. If they saw it by sight, or if they had to analyze it. There's a variety of ways these are done. These are DOSH lists, these particular ones. It's to give you a very general sense of the reading level, so you know kind of where to start. None of these things should be taken as 100% reliable and valid. No instrument in the world is 100% reliable and valid in terms of assessing authentic use of literacy. But you see at the bottom, you have a very general sense of a scoring guide for independent, instructional, and frustration. Now, no one measure of any type should be deemed adequate. Multiple measures and multiple types of measures all should be used. And I don't care if you're using a Wiscar or a Woodcock-Johnson, whatever it is. No one instrument should be deemed reliable and valid in and of itself. It looks at the type of reading miscues. It analyzes it, looking for the types of reading errors. Was it a word identification problem? Was it a fluency problem? Was it a context or syntax? Was the student self-correcting? You get a general sense. Now remember, reading is not sounding out words. Reading is creating meaning with print. I get to see, hear, listen to the fluency. Are they reading straight through the end? Do they have a sense of prosody? It gives me a sense of the percentage of words identified correctly at a particular reading level. It gives me a sense. Identifying that many means independent, instructional frustration, as well as comprehension questions. All right? You get a general sense to kind of see where they're at. But the important thing that, again, as the student is reading, you see what type of miscues that child is making. Here's an example of a score sheet, and the teacher's actually writing in, making notes in the margin as to what the student is saying or reading. There are some comprehension questions at the end. And again, here's another example. There are comprehension questions at the end, so you can get a comprehension score as well as a words per minute score. Another example, again, we're writing in the margins, finger pointing. You see the miscue, what the child did say. And you can determine words per minute on a graded reader. For example, if I'm using a level 2 passage, grade level 2, I can do a stopwatch, start and stop. And I can say on a level 2, the student read 70 words per minute. That's important whenever you do words per minute, that we know the grade level of the reader, or the reading level of the reader. Again, it provides you a rough estimate of their level plus a diagnostic. Now, you can use these in a variety of ways. You can make them more complex or less complex, adopt and adapt. I would I would encourage you to keep it simple. It provides you a very rough estimate, but more importantly, it helps you to see specifically, is it a fluency issue? Is it a comprehension issue? Is it a word identification issue? If it's word identification, what types of errors are they making? Again, big idea. Standardized test scores, not adequate to diagnose a reading disability, so don't do it. 3 causes of reading disabilities: word identification, fluency, comprehension. And again, you cannot have a measurable annual goal or benchmark if you do not know what to measure. It's got to be one of these 3 things. All right, we'll be looking at measurable annual goals, short-term objectives in the next one.